Hello class, welcome to a new explanation about grammar with Professor Ann. Bienvenidos a una explicación más con la profe Ann. Today we are going to talk about the verb have. In this case we have in infinitive form, that is have to, right? We're going to use the pointer pretty well. Okay, ahora vamos a hablar de este verb have to. ¿Por qué específicamente have? We have in present, lo tenemos en presente. This is a irregular verb. It works also as auxiliary. It is modal. It is also a really particular verb, as I mentioned, because it is an irregular. And what is the meaning of irregular? That change with the conjugation in each subject or pronoun. Que cambia su conjugación, es decir, cambia su forma de escribirse respondiendo al sujeto que se vaya a utilizar. Funciona como un auxiliar, funciona como un modal, but in this case we are just going to talk about it, about this in present, en presente. How do we form statements, questions, and answers? We have to. Let's study together. Vamos a formar oraciones, preguntas, respuestas con este verbo que se llama have. Remember that we have to in infinitive, in infinitivo. This is not a complete verb. Let's study together. First of all, we are going to begin by the affirmative and negative statements. This is the beginning. Okay, it says, empezamos con el afirmativo, que sería sujeto más el verbo más el complemento. We have subject plus verb plus complement. And what is the particular thing here that we have in this color, these verbs? Porque es el verbo have, que es the one that we're talking about, el cual nosotros estamos hablando. Entonces, tenemos el sujeto más el verbo have. Why this has changed? ¿Por qué esto ha cambiado? Because in the third person pronoun in affirmative we have some changes. Recordando que nosotros en el presente simple, en afirmativo, tenemos algunos cambios en los verbos. And this is one of the changes with the verb have. Que en vez de poner have, lo cambiamos a has, con he, she, or it, or depending if you're using a noun. Dependiendo si ustedes están utilizando un sustantivo propio or something like that, right? Let's going to study, like for example, it says, I have to travel, you have to travel, he, she, it has to travel, they have to travel, okay? In the negative form, please pay attention with this, because we are going to use an auxiliary. Vamos a utilizar un auxiliar. What is an auxiliary? That helps the main verb in the sentences. Que ayuda, en este caso, al verbo principal de la oración in order to do not have the whole word by itself, que no tener todo el trabajo para sí solo. Entonces eso es lo que me va a ayudar. And what is the auxiliary here? Done or doesn't. We have subject plus done plus or doesn't, depending on the subject plus verb. Have plus complement. Tenemos este done. Y also aquí, ¿por qué no usamos has? Si acá tenemos has. Because we have the auxiliary. And we don't have changes. No tenemos cambios. Solamente, ¿por qué? Porque ya tenemos ese auxiliar. Ya al poner este doesn't, ya lo hicimos en negativo y no tenemos que cambiarlo por have. Podemos dejarlo por has. Podemos cambiarlo por have. Lo dejamos normalito. ¿Por qué? Porque ya este doesn't tomó toda la acción que tenía que hacer para cambiar este verbo y ya digo, no, yo voy a trabajar y usted no cambia. That is a simple explanation of this. Like this example, I don't have to travel. Tenemos que don't va a ser en el caso de el negativo, ¿verdad? Remember that you can use the contraction or without contraction. Do not have or doesn't not have. It's depending on you, but both are okay. Depende de usted porque las dos están correctas. You don't have to travel. He, she, it doesn't have to travel. They don't have to travel. Okay? Simple, simple. Not too much. Let's go to study the next one. It is the question with have to, the affirmative, and the negative. I made a mistake right here. it is negative, but the question is okay. Okay, last questions with have to sería auxiliary plus subject plus have to plus complement. ¿Por qué utilizo el have to aquí? Porque le va a seguir un verbo. Entonces vamos a utilizar acá el infinitive. That you already know what is an infinitive, right? Well, we have auxiliaries dependiendo el sujeto, ¿verdad? Por eso tenemos aquí does, porque tenemos en tercera persona que sería he, she, or it. It is, do I have to travel? Do you have to travel? Does he, she, it have to travel? ¿Por qué have? Porque ya no lo cambio, porque ya aquí me ayuda el auxiliar a no cambiarlo. Do we have to travel? Do they have to travel? And this example. ¿Cómo respondo a estas preguntas? With these answers, con esta respuesta, they're yes or no. We don't have to change too much because this is the same way as the simple present you do, okay? It is yes, comma, plus subject, plus auxiliary. Yes, I do, y todos los que van con do, y yes, he, she, or it does. No tenemos que ponerle have ni nada, simplemente así como está. Y si fuera negativo sería no, comma, plus subject, plus do the auxiliary, of course, in contracciones, porque no tenemos respuestas cortas en full form, solamente en contractions. Yes, I done, y todos los que van con done. No, sorry, no, plus I done, y todos los que van con done, and no, comma, plus he, she, or it doesn't. ¿Por qué doesn't? Porque estos son las tercera persona, and this is an exception, right? Remember, this one has to match with this. Eso tiene que estar como igual que con la pregunta. Let's see. The information questions we have to. ¿Qué significa information questions? Son preguntas que nos dicen, valga la redundancia, para preguntarnos información específica, ¿ok? No es como en el otro caso que solamente decimos straight answers, straight to the point, listo, nada más. Estas preguntas son para indicarnos o preguntarnos más información. And what I use, and why do I use red in here? Because this one, they are exceptions. Son excepciones que no siguen el mismo structure de aquí. Tenemos when, que sería cuándo, where, dónde, why, por qué, how, cuánto o cuánta, depending of the context, right? It is, when do you have to travel? Where does he, she, or it have to travel? Why do we have to travel? How do they have to travel? ¿Y por qué no pongo who? Este who significa quién, o pueden utilizarlo también como whom, porque no sigue la misma estructura. Tenemos en what. What do you have to do next week? As you can see, we can talk about next week, because si decimos what do you have to do, es qué es lo que usted tiene que hacer. But if we are talking about, like, for example, in the future, we take next week, right? Of course, we don't say next week. It's depending on the context that you are going to use it. And it's, in this case, do you have to travel with? Who do you have to travel with in the next week? Okay? Entonces, si hago, ¿con quién es que usted tiene que viajar? Entonces, en la otra, ¿qué es lo que usted tiene que hacer? But I'm talking about future, okay? Just future. Let's see what we have. Wow, that is the whole explanation. That is not too much. Actually, I recommend you to write down your notes and make your questions with me in class. And really, really, really pay attention to this explanation because it is pretty important. The irregular verbs, they are not too easy. Believe me, I was a student. I am a student as well. And I told you, this is not easy. You have to be so carefully. And thank you for the people who say that you love my essay. See you in the next video. Bye.